My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge. You can find us on syndicated television, Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You can also find us on North Alabama Television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. You can also find us on the web, icradio.media, and you can also download the apps and listen that way. I'm your host, and so I'm doing a fun thing. I love gardening. And you're out here, you're seeing me with the sun grans and all that. We just came back from a commercial break. We're talking about hydroponics gardening. I'm loving it. I mean, best thing I ever did. So as we went on a break, I went on ahead, and so, you know, we have these little, let's go ahead and turn this down so you can see what I'm talking about. And man, I'm hoping you can see this. Okay, so this is really important. So on this side right here, we're planting some peanuts, okay? We have a 3-layer system going right here. It will be a 3-layer system. We have the water in the bottom. Rock wool cubes is what you see right here. There's a hole already in them. And what's going to happen is roots are going to start coming up out of this. You've got to keep it wet. It must be dampened at all times. Now, what I was doing, I knew you don't want to watch me doing something boring like this, so what I did, right here, I found some beans that my Aunt Elizabeth gave us. And these beans, we just call them Aunt Elizabeth's beans. And they're kind of like a little butter bean kind of a thing. Now inside a bean on one side, there's a little membrane thing right here. You don't have to take this off, but man, I like to. Just take it off with something sharp. Hope I'm not causing y'all to panic. It needs to be down in like this, okay? So let me find me a spot right here. So this is where Aunt Liz's beans are. Right there. Okay. Now, instead of canning mine, I dry them. Alright, now what I've got to finish up with the pile, I've got green beans. So here we go. Let's go ahead and take that little membrane thing off of this one. I hope you're not panicking. I promise I'm not going to get hurt. This was something else my husband was going to throw away. It's dull, so it's not like really sharp, but it's super great when you're doing this. Putting beans in here, okay? When you got to get rid of the little membrane. Alright, now you fell out. You go right in there, okay? Alright, so this is hydroponics. Now, like I said before, I collect rainwater. I'm going to put this down on the ground because I've got something else I want to talk to you about. Just make sure that this stays wet, okay? It's not going to work if it doesn't. Alright? Now we're going to talk about just playing in the dirt, which is something I love doing. Okay, let's just put this down here. I'll do something a little bit differently. Okay, all right. Now, we talked about the heating pad. Okay, that's really, really, really important because it's not always going to be warm like it is today. In Alabama, we can have 4 seasons coming up in one day. This is one of them. It's pretty warm now. Now the wind is blowing, so that's what you're hearing right now. It's kind of going crazy up there. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about, this is something I did last year. It was an experiment. I'm going to have to put my seeds here. This is for when you're going to plant a whole lot of something. And what I mean by planting a whole lot of something, you've got a bunch of seeds, you just really don't want to take the time to put them all in a pot. So it works on a layer system. However, I save boxes. Okay? So these are just some old boxes right here that I've saved. That's the big one right here. You want a pretty big box. Handier if you've got something like an old box that has some kind of handles on it. Okay? Now once you get this thing filled up, it needs to be on the ground, okay? Because you'll never get it down. And this is just an old box right here. It's a flat one, and it fits right in here. Once you get everything else moved out of the way. Okay, biodegradable. Make sure that it's not a box that's going to have some kind of a waxy film around it. That's extremely important too. Okay, so here I've got this layered and I've got this layered. And I'm going to walk away just for a minute because I've got to have some paper. I'll be right back in a minute. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. This is Donna, so we are back from the break, and so I wanted to go ahead and start mixing up a little bit of the soil. Okay, so what I've got, and I love this soil, it's like a really, really rich dirt, okay? I really like this. And then I went on ahead and got some cow manure, okay? And then what I like to do is add perlite. And I just kind of eyeball it. I don't really go with any specific thing. I wouldn't use near as much of the perlite as I do everything else. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this camera back down again so you can, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now you heard me mention that we've got the box, the big box right here. I'm doing layers. So I've got another box right here. This stuff's going to get really, really wet. Then what I'm going to do is I save this, and this is like packing paper, okay? So I save that, and I put this down in here as well. Now over time, after watering this, what's going to happen is this is going to get, it'll kind of seep down just a little bit. So what I'm doing is not going to make a whole lot of sense right now, but it will later on when we come back and we revisit this segment. Okay? I like the layering effect. I think it turns out really well. I had so many roots last year. The roots were huge. And then this, and then in combination, also with putting it out there in the block gardens, this is just really an awesome garden. Okay, now I like to mix with my hands. So here we go. I've got the gardening soil, the cow manure. I like the cow manure better. And then your perlite. And again, this white stuff, that's the perlite. And see how that just kind of clumps? That's what you're looking for. I hope you can see this. I like the way that clumps. Okay. Alright, here we go. I think it's mixed up pretty good. I'm going to do this in a couple of layers. Okay, because the roots are going to be kind of big, and this is just an old bucket that I didn't want to throw away. So we're going to be mixing it a little bit more, like so. Okay. Alright. Actually, what I could do, let's do this. I'm going to put some of this in here. It's one of those things, it's kind of like baking a cake or making bread or whatever. We'll just learn some things along the way of the way it needs to look. Alright, so we are beekeepers, and these bees absolutely love flowers, and they love marigolds. Tilt that down just a bit more. They love marigolds. I mean, they just flock around them like crazy. So here's some marigolds. I went on ahead and saved these from what we had last year. It's just amazing to me the flowers you can get just off of one bud. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm sprinkling these things. Just like so. I think that's probably enough. See? There we go. few more in there. Now, let's go ahead and top it. I'm putting more soil on top. I'm going to cover them up, see? Just like that. They're covered up. Now we know these are going to be marigolds, so I'm going to need to write, and I love this. So here's my rooster. He's coming in. He won't see what's going on. There we go. Good afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell. We are back from the commercial break. You're watching The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 Charter Communications, and Abundance TV found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So we are back from the break, and I just wanted to mention a couple of things about seeds and how to stockpile seeds. And I've been collecting seeds for years. I still have my grandparents' seeds. Great place to keep them is in the freezer. But I found this really awesome book right here. It's called No Grid Survival Projects. And it's a good one. It has all kinds of great tips in here. And this is from people who have been in this type situation before. So they know the best way to handle whatever your needs are. It's a book that's just filled with ideas on planting, how to build a chicken house, how to take care of chickens, just all these wonderful things. So why should you stockpile seeds now? If you remember during the height of COVID-19 pandemic, gardeners were in for quite a shock as they walked around. I remember I went to several places and they had like caution tape and stuff around some of the seeds, you know, where they were from. Several gardening supply places and that kind of thing. And then many big retail chains remained open during the pandemic, seemingly decided that seeds weren't important enough to allow the public access to buy. But that's the time you wanted to buy them, okay? Because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know, anything that's going to be going on. So the sight of the caution tape strung all over the aisle just kind of made us free thinkers just kind of stop and think, what's really going on, So I was really happy at that point that I had been saving seeds. Now, why should you stockpile seeds? Let's talk about that. Seeds can and should be stockpiled now more than ever. When the powers that are telling the public not to buy seeds, that's when you should buy as many possible seeds as you can. Absolutely. We have to worry about, what's the next pandemic going to be, or will there even be another pandemic? The prices of groceries, they've went up to just, tripled, in price. That's why you should really stockpile seeds. Now let's go a little bit farther. I want to make sure I get all this information in here for you. Believe it or not, most seeds have a decent shelf life. Now we hear that too about your canned goods. It may say that it only has this much shelf life on it or whatever. You can actually go beyond that date on it. And I want to mention this before we get back into the seeds again. Okay, so you're buying cans. There's a place we like to buy groceries from. I don't buy everything there, but I buy most of my products there, and it's a place in Fife, Alabama. It's almost like a bend-to-dent can kind of a place, but hardly any of the cans are dented. But if you notice, there are expiration dates. You can actually go at least, I know, a year beyond that expiration date. Now, there's some signs, okay? If you notice there's a little bit of spoilage on the side of the can, or if you bought a can or looking at a can of something and it's kind of has this little bump up on the top lid of it, maybe, kind of like a little upheaval, don't buy it. It has probably something in it, probably it could be like, oxygen or something in it. Just don't buy it. It needs to be just like when you buy, when you make your own, when you can your own items. And the little sealing lid on top, that has to be pressed down. If it's bubbled up, it's not good food. So think about that with canned foods as well, okay? But you can get some really good deals out there. Okay, Most seeds do have a decent shelf life. Their survival all depends on the conditions in which you choose to store them. Okay, don't put them outside or in a garage or something like that. It needs to be, depends on the like hot, cold contrast and things like that. You can be very collect enough seeds to last your whole life. I've probably got enough to last our whole life. Temperature and humidity are everything. Make sure that whatever you choose, wherever you decide to keep your seeds, the humidity is low to non-existent. Now, the temperature needs to be cool to room temperature. I keep mine in a freezer. High humidity can negatively impact your seeds because it increases the chance they're exposed to some moisture. Seeds should not be exposed to any moisture until they are ready to be planted. So temperatures too hot or too cold can damage seeds as well, although some seeds don't care. I still have some bean seeds that my granddad had from like, the 1990s. And they're still good. We've planted some of those. Make sure you store the seeds in a container that's completely waterproof. Now, water is the enemy until it's time for them to be planted. Another thing to keep in mind is that the container should be as airtight as possible. Most seeds come in individual envelopes. Paper envelopes are the best place to store your seeds, okay? This is completely fine, and there's no reason to remove them unless they get wet. So these envelopes can be stored in airtight containers with a lid for safekeeping. Containers like waterproof 5-gallon buckets with secure fitting lids are perfect, so says this article. Do you ever notice little silica gel packets in products when you buy them? You ever get those, like you buy a pair of shoes, sometimes you'll see those little packets, and they're like little silica gel packets. Save them because these packets are actually placed in products to keep moisture from ruining them. You can place them in some of the packets inside your containers to keep moisture at bay. They can also be purchased online. I know Amazon, right there, I was showing Amazon right now. Amazon is one of our new sponsors, and I will be able to get, they sell them at a really good price on Amazon, so I'll make sure I get a link, send that there for you as well. Okay, let's see. Store your seeds in a place with consistent, non-fluctuating temperatures. Like we have a pump, we call it the pump house out there. There's no temperature control at all in that. We just store old wood and stuff like that in it. You wouldn't want to put your seeds there because it gets like super cold in the wintertime and super hot in there in the summertime. So it needs to be consistent. Make sure the area is dry and dark. Sometimes sunlight can damage products. So it may also heat up a container and it could damage those seeds. And another thing is labeling those seeds and labeling your containers. Make sure you do that. It's extremely important. This saves you from having to constantly open those containers and go through seeds and try to find out what you need. You'll be a bit more organized that way. Seeing that what you have will also allow you to take stock of what you have and what you might need to collect. Write the date you purchase the seeds as well as the type of seed. Now, if you do your own seeds like we do, I on the envelope, I put when I dried it and when I placed it in the freezer. Okay, and just make sure you do that. Write the date as well as the type of seed on the outside of the container. And this is especially true because to me, tomato seeds all look the same. And there's no going back. I mean, I had mixed up a seed packet one time, and it was Romas. And I didn't really want the Romas. I wanted the orange tomatoes. And so I planted them thinking they were the orange tomatoes, and they were Romas when they came up. But we used them anyway. I make a lot of salsa with them. Let's see. Always plant the oldest seeds first. That's another thing that's really important. Seeds can be stored in the refrigerator or freezer for safekeeping to extend their shelf life. These are best stored in envelopes inside glass mason jars. You need to fill the jar and fill it up as much as you can, okay? Write all the information on the outside of the jar and place it in the freezer until you're ready to plant. There is a process to removing these seeds and planting them. First, carefully set the jar out at room temperature for at least 12 hours. Remove the lid and let the air circulate in the jar so it can prevent any moisture that may occur from the temperature change. Yeah, because sometimes you can have sweating, especially if you're doing this in the summertime. And it can cause the jar to sweat, cause the seeds to get wet, and messes up the whole thing. Let this jar sit in the open air several days before planting the seeds. Okay? Seed shelf life. There are some seeds that last longer than others. Now, some seeds can last up to 2 years before the germination rate decreases, and this can include sweet corn, onions, parsley, peppers, parsnips, and okra. Keep an eye on the dates you purchase these particular seeds and try to use them in a timely fashion. I like to plant more seeds than I think I'm going to use, then I can always give away plants. For all of the seeds you purchase, try to buy heirloom seeds. These are the best seeds for growing food that you can collect more seeds from to save. So you're never going to run out of seeds if you get the heirloom, okay? Because let's use a tomato for an example. So let's say I have my Roma tomatoes. And so I'm going to save one of my tomatoes, and I'm going to take the seeds out. You can still use the tomato, just save the seeds. And it'll just go on and on and on. Now, if you don't buy heirlooms, you can't do that, okay? The seeds are just not going to be as good. They're not going to be as strong. So heirloom, okay? Okay, let's see. For the seeds with a shorter shelf life, like the ones mentioned above, the ones we were talking about, the parsley, the peppers, the parsnips, and the okra, sweet corn, and onions, what you'll need to do with those, plant them each year and try to have enough for 1 or 2 years in your collection. Now, each year, collect seeds from the vegetables you grow and save them by harvesting them, cleaning them, and drying them thoroughly. When they're completely dry, place them in the labeled envelopes and store them in a container. Always plant your oldest seeds first. I'm going to say that again. Always plant the oldest seeds first. Now, seeds with a shelf life for up to 4 years includes your carrots, your celery, peas, leeks, eggplants, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, beets, beans. Now, beans will actually last longer than that. I know that for sure. Watermelons, pumpkins, turnips, spinach, tomatoes, turnips, and squash. Try to have those around 4 years worth of these seeds on hand and use the oldest again first each year before planting time. It's not a bad idea to collect those heirloom seeds each year to process and store for emergencies in case something happens to your collection. Anything can happen. Some seeds have a shelf life up to 6 years or even longer when they are stored properly. These include cucumbers, radish, and lettuce seeds. This lasts seem like forever. Try to have up to at least 6 years worth of these seeds on hand in your stockpile. Okay, I've just got a little bit less than 2 minutes left. I want to hurry up and mention this. There may come a time when you are no longer able to purchase seeds. It could happen. Just always think about that. Keep it in the back of your mind. If this happens, you should already be prepared with all the heirloom seeds you have grown and processed for storage. Each year, whether you have ample purchased seeds in storage or not, collect seeds from your garden to dry and store just in case, okay? And if you can keep doing this throughout the years, you'll start a self-sufficiency cycle that will last a lifetime. And you'll even have enough to give your friends and your neighbors as well. Now, the best seeds to stockpile. I've only got a minute left. The best seeds in terms of shelf life to stockpile include cucumber, radish, and lettuce seeds because they last longer than most other seeds. Now, under the right conditions, they can last even longer than the 6-year shelf life, okay? So, in terms of optimal nutrition, the best seeds to stockpile include spinach, alfalfa, kale. I love kale. I've got some of that growing now. Broccoli, beets, and peas. These are packed full of vitamins and minerals your body needs to flourish. They can also come especially handy when you can no longer purchase vitamins to take daily. In addition, consider making sure you have ample amounts of starches like sweet potatoes, carrots, pumpkin, squash, and corn. These are not only nutritious, but they also contain fiber, and that can help keep your digestive system healthy. So that's the take right there on the seeds. Go on ahead and get prepared, okay? Never hurts to be prepared. Thank you so much for watching The Edge. My name is Donna Feazell, and it's so good to be with you today. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next segment, okay? So you take care.